Hello, and welcome to Reclaiming Our Power, Reclaiming Ourselves. I'm Dr. Shana Johnston. I have been a family practice and maternity doctor for over 20 years, and I'm so excited to be offering you this program. The first inclinations of this program showed up in November of 2018, but I didn't know what to do with them. I had all these ideas, but I just didn't know how to actually turn them into anything. And I was so busy with my practice and I was so busy with everything else that I was doing that it just kept getting pushed to the back burner. And then, as life would have it, things got crazier and crazier, and I got to the point of burnout and ended up leaving my practice in April of 2021. And I'm going to share that story with you shortly. And in that process, I had to draw on all these tools that I'd learned over my own personal growth journey over a couple of decades as well, and start really integrating some of those tools into my life to help myself heal from burnout, and to really, like, I was feeling really awful a year ago, and I really had to enlist the help of all of these tools to help bring myself back from that place and to rebuild my resilience. And so I'm really excited about offering some of these things to you, and I hope that you can use some of these tools in your own life to learn, to grow, to get to know yourself, to reclaim your power and reclaim yourself, to really make to so that you can really enjoy the journey of life rather than just trying to get through every day. So I hope that there'll be some great tools for you to use in this. So each week, what I'm going to do is I'll open our practice with lighting a candle as a symbol for the light that burns bright within us, that for that light that of our soul that connects us with the essence of who we are. So I'll open each week by lighting the candle. And inviting us into our practice each day. And after I open the practice each week, I'll do a short grounding meditation with you to help you release the stress of the day and to help you to ground yourself to arrive in this moment. And so we'll go ahead and do that right now. So I invite you to close your eyes or adopt a soft gaze. Allow your shoulders to relax, your jaw to relax. Allowing yourself to arrive in this moment. Releasing any stress or tension from the day. Allowing the breath to carry it away. Grounding it back to the earth. Taking a big breath in through your nose. Big sigh out your mouth. Just allowing yourself to arrive, to settle, to let any tension or stress just melt away. Taking another breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Again, letting go of any tension. Allowing yourself to arrive in this moment. And one more breath before returning to the room. So a big breath in, big sigh out. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the room. Welcome back. So this week, I'm going to share with you my story of my journey of my time in my practice through burnout and the healing journey that followed, and then some of the tools that I used in that healing process, which are the tools that we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks. After my talk each week, I'll give a few journaling prompts to help you to invite you to explore each of these the week's theme in your own life. And I'll offer some suggestions for home practice during the week to kind of consider that week's theme as you go through your week, to how that might be showing up and how you might be able to apply some of those tools. I'll also give you a list. I'll give you a few resources in case you want to do a little bit, if you want to explore the topic a little bit further. And then I'll end each session with an inspirational reading before closing the practice. Each week you'll get a video from me with the week's theme. So the video will be similar to what you're seeing today, and it'll have that same flow that I'll open the practice, do a grounding meditation, I'll give a talk on the week's theme, I'll offer a couple of journaling prompts, an invitation for home practice, tell you about the resources, and I'll close with a reading. And so each week we'll have that same flow. And so you'll get a video each week with our practice for the week. There'll also be an accompanying PDF. The PDF will give the key points, the key messages of that week to sort of just kind of summarize some of the key points of the talk. It'll give the journaling prompts so that you've got them written out so it's just a bit easier to kind of have them available. I'll have the resources will be listed. There'll be the invitation for home practice will be listed, and then you'll have a copy of the inspirational reading as well. There will also be, in addition to the PDF that you'll get each week, there's also some weeks there's some additional resources. There's a few weeks there's an MP3 or some like an additional handout. So those are some things that you'll get each week as part of that week's theme. For each session, I recommend having the PDF handy as well. And if you're someone that doesn't like doing a lot of journaling, you could either just write right on the PDF or on a piece of paper. If you're somebody like me who really loves to do reflective journaling, I recommend getting a journal specifically for this program, where you can actually just write. So when you get the journaling prompts, you can write them right in your journal, and then maybe even take a few minutes at the end of the practice each week to just reflect on what you learned. What were some of the highlights? What were some of the things that really stuck out for you, to kind of help anchor those themes into your learning? And then as you move through your week, to take out your journal and just again, keep reflecting on some of the themes how those themes are showing up in your life, how you're using the tools, how you're applying it, and that kind of thing. So having a specific journal for this program can be very handy. So I encourage that for you, especially if you're somebody that like me likes to do a lot of journaling and reflection and that kind of thing. If that's not for you, that's okay too. You can also just, jot a few things on a piece of paper. Everyone learns in different ways. And so I encourage you to make this program work for you the way that you want it to work. Some people want to do more reading about resources, so that's why that's there. And some people, everyone learns in different ways. So I encourage you to use this program in the way that's going to work best for you, because you know you better than anyone else. So you do you. That's the best thing you can do. And so now I'd like to share with you my story. When I first started my practice, I was thriving. I was meeting all these wonderful young women, most of whom were expecting their first child and ripe with the anticipation of becoming a new mom. I spent my days connecting with people, hearing their stories, and building relationships. I was able to get people in to be seen when there was an urgent concern, and I had lots of energy for the inevitable challenges that would show up each day. I was running mom and baby groups where I was connecting with new moms in circle, which I absolutely loved. It was like I was splashing around, playing in the water, having a great old time. Over the years, things started to get busier. My practice grew quickly, and I was having to move faster and faster to keep up. I was finding it harder and harder to keep up with my charting and my labs during the day, so I would often bring them home to work on at night. I was no longer able to use the space where I'd been running my mom and baby groups, so that part of my job that I enjoyed so much got moved to the back burner as I redirected my energy towards my growing practice. As my practice grew, my days got busier and busier. On-call shifts turned into 24-hour marathons. My clinic days demanded that I move faster and faster, and the administrative burden of my practice became heavier and heavier. It felt like no matter how fast I was swimming, it wasn't fast enough, and I was starting to get tired. When the pandemic hit, things got way more challenging. The guidelines for how to practice were changing on a daily basis. I was scared for my own safety, as well as the safety of my family, my colleagues, and my patients. There wasn't enough PPE to go around, and I still had to go to work. My computer battery and the office internet couldn't handle all the virtual visits, so I was forced to figure out how to care for people over the phone while juggling in-person appointments with pregnant patients and new mums and babies. The paperwork quadrupled, and my job satisfaction took a nosedive. It felt like someone had strapped a lead weight to both of my ankles, but I had to keep swimming at that same crazy pace that I'd been swimming at all of the way along. For months, I did my best to keep swimming as fast as I could with those lead weights on my ankles. And on August 11th, 2020, I went under. I couldn't do it anymore. I was drowning, and I needed to make a tough decision for my own survival. I cared so deeply for my patients, but I just couldn't do it anymore, and I made the very difficult decision to leave my practice. After making that decision, it felt like one of the lead weights had been removed. I was able to sputter to the surface and keep myself afloat by treading water. I continued to tread water until April of 2021, when I left my practice and two wonderful doctors, and the second lead weight was removed. I had naively thought that once the lead weights were removed, I'd be okay. But last May, I felt far from okay. I was so tired. I felt so broken and defeated, and I had no idea what I was going to do with the rest of my life. It was a really, really challenging time. I took on a few part-time jobs within medicine to continue earning a living as I attempted to figure out how to rebuild my life. My head was above water, but I was only just barely treading water, and I was really tired. I realized it was time to take care of me, that I needed to rebuild my resilience if I was ever going to have any hope of doing anything more than surviving. I'm happy to say that over the past year, I've built myself a lifeboat, and I'm doing a lot better now. I'm still figuring things out, but I'm doing a lot better than I was. They say that we teach best what we most need to learn, and as I rebuild my life and I continue to support myself with the tools that have helped me build my life raft and move back to a place of thriving. So I'm going to share with you briefly some of the tools I've been using to build my life raft, the tools that we're going to be talking about in the weeks to come. This is an ongoing process, and I still come across plenty of stormy waters. But as I remind myself I have a life raft, I'm coping better than I was back when I was just barely treading water. So the first thing we're going to talk about is mindfulness. I've been meditating every day since 2019. And this was a huge help in getting me through 2020 and 2021. And it's become a non-negotiable part of my day. Every day I start my day every day with a meditation, and it helps me to ground and land in my own experience and my own body and really start setting the tone for my day. It's been such a huge resource to me. The other thing I did is I went to a silent retreat. I've been to several silent retreats, but I went to one in January that was just, I think it was just the right timing or whatever, but it was just absolutely, it was amazing. I really had this wonderful experience of landing in my own experience, in becoming much more present with myself and really, really landing with me and my own experience. If you ever have a chance to do a silent retreat, I highly recommend it. It was such a rich experience. The next thing we're going to talk about is embodiment and emotions. And for me, what that's looked like, so that's a really big topic. And so what I decided to do is to narrow it down into just some of the things that I've done in terms of settling my overwhelmed nervous system. Because by the time I left my practice, my nerves were shot. I was just so far outside my window of tolerance. My resilience was just so limited. And so what I've done over the past years, I've been doing different things to help settle my nervous system, connecting with other people and, growing in community and those and like co-regulating with other people, enlisting the help of a counselor and a coach and talking things out and all of that kind of thing. Been doing things to shift and ground and move the energy, and a lot of crying. I'm someone who processes through tears, and there's been a lot of tears that have flown this year. And so in all of those things, I've allowed myself to settle and to move, to just allow the energy and all of that extra craziness that I've been carrying to be discharged from my body and to let my nervous system settle. And then to help my nervous system settle, I've also used a lot of like decreasing the input, which I'll talk about a little bit more when we get to the section on boundaries. The next thing that we're going to talk about is intuition. And I've always been someone who's kind of I've been someone who connects with her intuition already. And I really, really, really started enlisting that a lot more starting in August of 2020 when I hit the wall and I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I am the primary and at times sometimes sole provider for my family. And the thought of leaving my practice when I have a family to support was a scary, scary, scary thing. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I got really quiet and I went within and I got in touch with my inner wise woman who helped reassure me that I'm going to be okay. She was, and so that, and when I say that, I'm like that connection to that, to my higher self, to that part of me that just knows, that inner wisdom that's connected to something that's beyond me. And in that, there was like a voice that said, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Just trust. You'll be guided. You'll get through this. And that's absolutely been true. I often can only see this far ahead, but I just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it's amazing to me the way that things have unfolded and the guidance that I've been given. And even just in creating this program, it's been incredible, the guidance that I've been given, all the into like, and it's in little bits. I can often only see just a little bit ahead of me, but I know that if I trust and I follow my intuition, I'll continue to be guided, and I will continue to go in the right direction. So that's been a huge one for me. The next thing that we're going to talk about is boundaries and conscious choices. That's been a big one for me in terms of, like I said, settling my nervous system, because I was taking on way too much. I was trying to do way too much for way too many people, and I was not putting my own oxygen mask on. And too many years of not having my own oxygen mask on, I ran out of oxygen. I had nothing left. And so for me, boundaries was about learning to say no, was learning to set limits on what I can and can't do. In saying yes to something, I'm saying no to something else. And also there's only so much my nervous system can handle. And so by setting those having those boundaries and those conscious choices, I've been able to keep myself inside my window of tolerance where I can thrive. And so that's been a really big one for me, is boundaries. The next thing that we're going to talk about is self-compassion, which has also been a big one for me. I am a striver and a perfectionist and a pleaser, and I really can be very, very hard on myself. I can give myself a really hard time for things. And so it's been really a huge learning for me to learn to be kind and gentle with myself, to tend to my poor, sweet little human who is just doing her best, and to just love my sweet human for everything that she does. And do I get things perfect? No. Am I doing my best? Yes. And can I appreciate myself for that? I'm learning. It's a process, but I'm getting a lot better at it as time passes. And so we're going to talk about that as well. And then the final thing that we'll talk about is integration, in terms of bringing it all together. And for me, it's actually been interesting the way I've been integrating as I've been putting this program together. I've had to revisit all these tools in a much deeper way as I try to explain them to someone else. I need to learn them so much better for myself. And so it's been amazing, this process of integrating all of these things that really are the things that I need. And I've been able to revisit them and come back to myself in revisiting all these tools. And so there's been this incredible experience of integration this spring as I've created this program and put it all together to offer it out to you. And so my hope for you is that you're able to learn from the tools that I offer and the stories that I share and all of the things that I'm offering out. I'm hoping there'll be some wisdom and some tools and some skills and some food for thought that you can use to make your own life a richer place, to put your own oxygen mask first, to really make you a priority. And so my hope for you is that I hope that you really enjoy this program, and that it really helps you to get to know yourself better and to reclaim your power and reclaim yourself. So I have a couple of journaling prompts for you. So the first one is, how do I support myself through life's challenges? What tools do I already have? So again, that's, how do I support myself through life's challenges? What tools do I already have? And the next prompt is, what can I do to support myself in getting the most out of this course? What can I do to support myself in getting the most out of this course? And so the invitation, and again, if you need more time, pause the video and take the time you need to journal on anything so that you can keep writing as much as you want. And if you're ready to move on, the invitation to home practice is number one, I invite you to reflect on the tools that you already have to support yourself and make a note of them, because the things that are already working, let's bring them back into our conscious awareness so that we can really make use of them. Because a lot of times we know what to do, but we just get so busy that we forget the tools that we already have. So I invite you to bring those tools back and figure out ways of integrating them into your life. And secondly, what are some other ideas I have for ways I could support myself? So in other words, other things that you've heard about but haven't had a chance to explore, or those kinds of things. So what are other ideas that you've sort of been in the background about ways that you could support yourself, but you've never really taken the time to look at? So maybe just reflecting on those this week. And then the third thing is, are there any changes you need to make in order to protect this time for yourself each week, to make yourself a priority? Because it's really important that you, in order to get the most out of this program, it's important that you carve out that time for yourself, because it's so easy for us to get busy doing everything else and to look after everything else and to not worry about our own oxygen mask on because we're so busy out here. And this course is a way of putting your own oxygen mask on first. And by carving out half an hour for yourself once a week where you can set that time aside to help to do something to grow and learn and get new skills and to get in touch with yourself, that's huge. And so I encourage you to find a way of carving out that half hour once a week. How are you going to protect that time? How are you going to make that a priority so that you can learn and grow and get all the richness that life has to offer by using some of these tools? And so in terms of resources, I've put a link to a really inspiring article on some great ideas on reclaiming our power as women. So you could take a look through that. It's kind of a neat little article. And then I'm going to close with a reading by Rebecca Campbell. So she says, "It's your humanness that inspires me. Your ability to choose to rise fall after fall. It's your humanness that inspires me. The time you chose the light when it was darker than ever before. It's your humanness that inspires me. How you found the courage to let the life you had so consciously created crumble and fall. It's your humanness that inspires me. When you share your heart, cracks and all. It's your humanness that inspires me. That you tell the truth about how hard life got and how different you are from before. It's your humanness that inspires me. The day you let your old self die in order for who you were becoming to be born. It's your humanness that inspires me. How no matter how many times you doubted it, you never stopped answering the call." And so I close our practice today with the intention that during this course, you're able to notice your thoughts with kindness and curiosity. You're able to learn to listen to your body and settle your nervous system. You're able to tap into your inner wisdom. You're able to establish and maintain boundaries, and that you're able to be kind and gentle with yourself as you integrate all these things into your life. May the light in your soul continue to burn bright, lighting your way through any dark times that may come. And we'll see you next week.